talk about supplementation, we talk about putting things into our body, but most people are considering swallowing those things. But did you know that when you're putting things on your skin, that's also getting absorbed into the body, and we should be paying attention there too. My next guest was the first woman naturopath licensed in the state of California, and she's also known as the spa doctor. You're going to want to pay attention to what she has to say because you're going to learn some new things. Enjoy this interview with Dr. Trevor Cates. Trevor, thanks so much for spending some time with us.
Yeah, it's so great to be here with you.
Yeah, so tell us about your background.
So I'm a naturopathic physician, and I've been practicing for almost 20 years now. And I really got into it because of my own health issues, my own struggles with my health, with my skin. And I had a lot of struggles as a child. And my parents found a holistic practitioner that they took me to that was really the one thing that turned my health around. And so at an early age, I was very interested in this approach because I didn't want other people to have to struggle as much as what I went through, and I thought people should have this as part of their wellness plan from the very beginning.
Can you share what some of the struggles were?
Yeah. So I had a lot of allergies, and I had recurring infections like strep throat, tonsillitis. I also had a lot of, because of the allergies, I had hives and eczema, mysterious little bumps that would appear on my face. And so my parents took me to see a number of different doctors, and they would give me medications that I would have adverse reactions to, allergic reactions to, and I just kept feeling worse. And I missed a lot of school. I didn't feel like a regular kid. I felt abnormal, I felt weird, and I'm sure that showed up because I was bullied at school, and I think that's probably why, is because I didn't feel like a normal kid. And so not only did I physically not feel good, but it impacted me emotionally and my self-esteem, and especially with having skin issues, it's hard to hide.
Right. So then you entered naturopathic school when you were of age?
Yeah, so it led me to be really interested in naturopathic medicine because of the approach of it, of really supporting the body's innate ability to heal and looking for the root cause, what's underlying our health issues, and supporting the body with things like healthy lifestyle and supplements.
So also you told me before we started shooting that you were the first female licensed in the state of California as a naturopath.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So you got involved politically too then?
Yeah, so when I graduated from naturopathic medical school, I wanted to get involved in helping with the rights and regulations of naturopathic medicine. I'm so passionate about this profession, and I wanted more access for the public. And in California, I moved to California and was actively involved in the politics. And Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor at the time. He appointed me to the Naturopathic Advisory Council, and I got one of the first woman licensed as a naturopathic doctor.
What is the difference between a naturopath and other types of doctors?
So a naturopathic physician looks to the root cause of what's going on with people's health and looks to support the body's innate wisdom, the innate ability to heal with the use of the least invasive medicine possible. So we're trained as primary care doctors in medical school, in the naturopathic medical schools that are licensed, regulated schools. We're taught all of the basics, the foundation of science, and a lot of the similar types of coursework as conventional medical school, but we also get coursework in things like botanical medicine and environmental medicine, nutrition, and so we learn to look at the body as it needs to be supported in a way, and looking to what is missing, what does the body need to be supported and to help optimize health. And we can prescribe medications when necessary, but we want to support the body first with the least invasive medicine. And what's great about that is that we can use all of these tools. And there are so many great things that we can do just through diet and lifestyle to support the body and remove the obstacles to healing. And then also, as a naturopathic physician, having the ability to prescribe medications when necessary is also great to be able to have that tool, and to understand when supplements can play a role, when there can be interactions between these things too, and to fully be able to support a patient in that way.
Do you do a lot of supplement recommendations as a part of your practice?
I do. I do recommend supplements a lot with my patients. And what I find with supplements is it's exactly what the word says, it's supplement, right? It's meant to supplement a healthy lifestyle. And so it's not the first thing that I talk about. The first thing I talk about is how to live a healthy lifestyle, what foods to eat, what foods to avoid, stress management, getting a good night's sleep, those sorts of things, that exercise, those sorts of things to help support a healthy foundation. And then looking to address the root causes and using supplements for that. So I really think that there are root causes behind health issues. And I focus a lot on skin because I see skin as our magic mirror. It gives us great clues about overall health. And a lot of times the root causes behind health issues show up first on the skin. And so I think it's a great tool, and skin is our largest organ. It's right on the surface of the body. So I use that. I talk a lot about in my book, Clean Skin from Within. And as a founder of the Spa Doctor, I talk a lot about it too, with skin being that great tool. Now, when it comes to root issues, if you're addressing the root issues with skin issues, then you're also going to be able to help address the root causes with many other health problems. And nutritional deficiencies are one of the big root causes. And there are other ones too, and I think that a lot of times people end up with nutritional deficiencies, and supplements can be very beneficial in helping support the body get back to a more optimal state.
So it's interesting. So you almost use the skin as a diagnostic tool. So it's not just about beauty. It's about literally saying what's going on inside the body as it's expressed outside.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I call my book Clean Skin from Within, because it's really a lot of what's going on inside. And so if we can address those root causes, nutritional deficiencies, oxidative damage, hormonal imbalances, inflammation, microbiome imbalances, blood sugar issues, if we address those, then we're going to help the skin, and we're going to help so many other aspects of our health. And so there's a lot we could do with diet, a lot we can do with lifestyle, and then supplements can help give our bodies extra boost. It's supplementing that healthy lifestyle.
So, and you spoke to that as far as them being, supplements. Not, you don't live on them, but they supplement. But what do you think are the most important things people need to know about supplements?
Well, I think some of the most important things people need to know about supplements are that people should be careful about the quality, that not all supplements are created the same, and that they can be a great addition to a healthy lifestyle, but I think you can overdo it too. I mean, I sometimes will actually, when patients come in to see me and they're taking a lot of supplements, I'll actually have them stop taking some supplements because they're not all created the same, and more is not always better. But they are extremely powerful when used properly.
So when you, for example, I'm making this up, but if you were to say, I want you to take vitamin D, you don't leave them to their own devices to go find vitamin D. You actually are recommending maybe a specific brand of a particular supplement that you recommend?
Yeah, I really believe that the quality is important and that you can't just go anywhere to get supplements. I think that there are supplement companies that do a great job with purity, with quality, with sourcing, with combination with other nutrients. So sometimes, for example, if somebody says they're going to take a zinc supplement and they want to load up on zinc for their immune support or because they've heard it's good for their skin, what they might, if they're not getting a little bit of copper with it, they can be creating imbalances. So especially if they're taking it long term, it's important to take nutrients together in balance and not to just isolate one. And sometimes we can isolate one nutrient and take high potency of it, but there's certain ones that really need to be in combination with others because they work together. If you think about it this way, we want to mimic nature and how we find nutrients in nature. I think there's so much power in that, and most of the time we want to be taking those supplements in that balance of what we'd find in nature. Now, at the same time, there's clinical nutrition that has found that when we isolate certain nutrients and give them in really high potency, it can actually, it goes beyond just addressing a nutritional deficiency, but using that as a therapeutic tool.
Well, it's interesting because you're making a distinction here. So there's two modes, at least two, I guess, as you're describing. One of which is kind of clinical, which is almost maybe a therapeutic approach with targeting, high concentrations of a particular supplement, and another that's maybe just more lifestyle oriented. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, so when we talk about a nutritional deficiency, so let's start with that, because what happens is sometimes people, they don't eat a healthy diet, right? They're not getting the nutrients they need from food, so they end up with nutritional deficiencies. Or their digestion is not good. So they could be eating a really healthy diet. They could be eating the healthiest diet, but if their digestion and absorption isn't working well, then they're not absorbing the proper nutrients from their foods. So then they're going to end up with a nutritional deficiency. And in those cases, it's important to then add those nutrients back in. And oftentimes people need those in a higher amount than they can just get from food to replenish the body and what it needs for optimal health.
So is there any misnomers that you think people should be aware of as far as supplement taking or supplements in general?
Yeah, there are so many. I think, like I said, so many of my patients will come in with bags and bags of supplements or baskets of supplements, and more is not better. So we need to be careful with that. Just because you've got a good thing doesn't mean more is gonna make it better, because you can't overdo it on certain nutrients, especially some of the fat soluble vitamins. They can build up rather than the water soluble vitamins. So our bodies do a good job of flushing it out if we get too much of it. But we can actually get too much of nutrients, and it can actually create symptoms. And then also, if the supplements aren't in a pure form, if they are, a lot of supplements have binders, fillers, things added to them that actually aren't good for us. And I think that some companies are about marketing and about making money and don't care as much about the quality and the purity of supplements, and that what those additives can do in a harmful way. And so here you're trying to do a good thing by taking supplements, but if there are harmful ingredients in there, it can actually be harmful. I've had people say to me, so if I can take a multivitamin, and if I have to choose between not getting one at all or one that I get from maybe an inexpensive one that I just pick up at a grocery store, I'd say would rather you not take the multivitamin at all if you can't get a really high quality one.
Yeah, so I guess there's two things to consider. One is you're wasting your money. The other one is you can actually be harming yourself.
Yeah.
Wow. So there's a lot of people out there who are searching. They've got challenges. They want a natural approach. But it seems like the sands are shifting, right? It's like every year there seems to be new things to consider, new promises made, different things entering the marketplace. So how does a consumer supposed to try to sort this out?
I know it is challenging because you've got them online, you've got them in stores, you've got them in places like Costco or pharmacies, and they're everywhere. Your neighbor selling them through a multi-MLM company. So you've got them all over the place, and it is kind of hard to tell which ones are the highest quality. I would say I really think of course, I'm a little bit biased here because I'm a naturopathic physician, but I really do think that working with a naturopathic physician is the best way to figure out, or a functional medicine doctor, because I know not everybody has access to a naturopathic doctor in the area. There are also functional medicine doctors that can help people identify what they're trying to solve. What is the nutritional deficiency that patient has, that person has, or what root causes we're trying to address specifically, and what kind of genetic issues someone might have that need to be addressed. And without some specific testing without a thorough evaluation, it's hard for people to know exactly what they need and what is going to be beneficial and what's going to be too much. It is confusing, and I really think the best way to do it is to work with someone who is well educated in this area. I do think there are also certain nutrients that people can take that are generally safe, like a high quality multivitamin, a multivitamin mineral supplement, a high quality fish oil supplement, high quality probiotics. There are certain things that people could take that I think are safe for everybody. But when people have specific health issues or they start to wanting to add a bunch of other supplements on, I think that's when they need support and guidance.
Yeah, so and you anticipated one of my questions saying, what are the staples? So you said a multivitamin, fish oil, that was a really big thing for a while, and I think it's still there, but you think fish oil is a good foundational supplement for people in general?
I do, and of course, a lot of what I do is help people with skin issues, and I do see that show up a lot with skin. And here's the thing about skin that I love, again, I'm going back to skin, and is that skin, right, like I was saying, it gives these great messages about health, and it's one of those first signs that something's out of balance. And part of the reason that is that we've got our vital organs, and the nutrients go to those first. And so that means that our skin will get depleted from nutrients a lot of times. So that's oftentimes why it shows up first. So things like omega-3s or essential fatty acid deficiency will often show up on the skin before you see it in other ways in the health. People will develop dry skin. They might get these little bumps on the back of their arms. And those can be signs of essential fatty acid deficiency. And it is something I see so often in my practice that I do think it is one of the important nutrients.
So if I want to go out and get fish oil, what kind of things should I be looking for there as far as making sure it's pure and that it's the right combination of nutrients in it?
Right. And of course, you can get a lot of great essential fatty acids from your diet, and eating fish can be a great addition to a diet, especially wild Alaskan salmon, those sorts of foods. But the problem is we're not going to get enough of those nutrients from our food especially if we have a deficiency, or we're trying to decrease inflammation because of the incredible anti-inflammatory effects of omega-3s, of fish oil. And so, and also we have concerns about the purity of fish. And so when you get a high quality fish oil, they're going to remove the impurities that you would normally get from the fish oil. Those impurities are going to be removed, so you get the benefits without the environmental toxins.
Will that be labeled typically? Will you see what their process is or how they make representations about purity?
Yeah, sometimes you have to ask questions. You have to look at what the company is doing to ensure that they are using sustainable fishing practices, that they're using clean sources, and that there are high amounts of the omega-3s that are in there, the DHA, the EPA, EFAs. You really want to look at what the purity, the concentration, those are the things that you want to look at. And I think that there are certain companies out there that do a good job, and you find a good company that has a good reputation, they're going to be making high quality supplements. Still, you want to ask questions. That's the biggest thing. And if you need support, work with somebody that, like a naturopathic physician, a functional medicine doctor that has that level of education.
Do you think it matters whether you take it in a capsule form or teaspoon?
For fish oil, I think you can do a capsule. I don't think you have to do it in a liquid. I think capsules can be a great form, because the thing is with liquid fish oil, it can get messy, it can be not so easy to travel with, people are on the go, so I think capsules can be great either way. The biggest thing though is the compliance. You want, if you're going to be taking supplements, you want to be taking the supplements rather than just having them sit in your cabinet or your refrigerator. You want to actually be taking them. So if you have a liquid form but you never take it, it's not going to do you any good.
So you don't just want to collect them.
Right.
You want to consume them.
Right. And I know a lot of people do. They sit there, they don't know what to do with them.
So we talked about fish oil as a staple, multivitamin as a staple. Other maybe foundational staples, you talked about probiotics. What do we need to know about that?
Yeah, so when I talk about supplements, addressing the root causes, this is a big part of what we're trying to do. So, inflammation is one of the big root causes behind skin issues, behind other health issues, and so omega-3 fish oil, those can be anti-inflammatory. So that's an example of addressing a root cause there. Nutritional deficiencies, taking a multivitamin, mineral supplement, that can address nutritional deficiencies. Microbiome imbalances, get the gut issues. There's the microbiome of the gut, there's the microbiome of the skin. We have the microbiota that live all over our bodies, and when that gets out of balance, then we can have a number of health issues. And so probiotics can address the gut microbiome issues, and that helps with digestion, and we know that the gut microbiome is connected to the skin microbiome. We also know about the gut brain connection, so many different things that the microbiome, when it's in a good state, can help the health in so many ways. So probiotics, a good probiotic, and that's one of the keys here, just like all the supplements, you've got to take a high quality one. That can really help support the digestion, help the gut microbiome, which can help optimize health overall.
Is it something that you think people should just routinely take, or there's times that people really don't need it? How do you view probiotics?
I don't think that everyone has to take it. I think that at certain times it can provide additional support. I think especially, say, we're recovering from maybe had to take an antibiotic, just helping the body restore that balance back. That's an example. Maybe after being through an acute illness or being through a lot of stress. There are a number of different situations where you want to help restore the body back by taking a probiotic. And I do want to say, again, going back to the quality is so key. And I know that when we look at the research, and it's exciting to see that there's a lot of research supporting supplements and that they can provide a lot of benefit to our health. I've also seen that there are some negative studies and saying, oh, they don't work, or they can create more harm than good. But if you look carefully at the research, a lot of times there's something missing in that study if it shows that it didn't do anything or that it was doing more harm than good. And occasionally, it is true, we find information in the research about supplements that makes the companies change the way that they manufacture them, which is also great. So I love to see the research being there to help us understand more about the way supplements work. So going back to probiotics, there's so many different strains of probiotics and everybody is very unique. And so that's when the challenges can occur when you're looking at a study and whether or not a probiotic is going to be beneficial. It really depends on a lot of different factors. This is where it starts to get complicated. And this is when you might need the help from a doctor that can help really individualize, customize, and test and find the specific probiotic that's going to benefit the person the most.
Do you recommend that consumers go online and look for research studies supporting the actual supplement they're taking?
I think it's great if people are willing to, if they have the time and the ability to look and look at the research. But here's the thing: is that just there's research like going and looking on PubMed and actually looking at the clinical research and reading through it, understanding what that means. Not everybody is able to do that. Not everybody has time to do that. Not everybody has the education to do that. And then some people will just go and they'll do a search online. That isn't doing research. Because there can be all kinds of information online it depends on what the source is. Is it the clinical study, or is it somebody's opinion? Is it coming from a supplement company? Is it coming from a drug company? Where is that information coming from? That's really important.
Are there any particular go-to brands of supplements that you recommend for people?
I'm so glad you asked me that, because I feel like I'm holding back valuable information here when I can't share specifics on what I find to be really beneficial. So there are certainly certain brands that are I feel like are doing a really good job. Companies like Designs for Health is a supplement company that is mostly for practitioners. but they do a really good job for certain nutrients and certain supplements like multivitamin mineral supplements, for example, individual nutrients that they make. They're also really good. I think Thorne Research is another good one that does a great job. Pure Encapsulations. Now, these are companies that sell to practitioners, so
Right.
those are the ones that I'm familiar with because that's what I have experience with. But I've looked at over the last few decades as I've been doing this, watching them as research comes up, as new information unfolds, watching them pull supplements off the shelves. Say, no, we're doing a recall on this because we found out this new thing. We're going to replace it with this. We're going to make sure that we're doing a good job of giving you high quality, pure ingredients. And I think that that is so key when you find a company that is willing to do that, that they might actually lose a little money because they have to pull products and take them off and then reformulate them.
Is there a fish oil brand that you like?
Yeah, so there are a couple of fish oil companies that I really like. I think that Nordic Naturals is one that people can find that in a lot of even health food stores. So they also make a practitioner line too. I think Omax does a great job with their fish oil. There are actually quite a few of them out there now. It used to be harder to find those pure ones that were in the higher potency, and I think that those are a couple of brands that I think are good. And of course, the other companies that I mentioned, they make fish oil as well.
What about probiotics?
Probiotics, that, it is a little tricky with probiotics. I think the companies that I mentioned, I think Designs for Health makes a good one. I think that there are a bunch of them out there. And I really do think it depends on why people want to take the probiotic as to what which one they're going to need to take, and also their lifestyle. So some need to be refrigerated, and that isn't always easy for people that are traveling and on the go. And there are some that are made like into like pearls that are encapsulated in a way that you can travel with them, you can move around with them. They're not going to lose their potency. So I think that's important to look at. And then also, do they have prebiotics in addition to the probiotics? I think that helps you create more of the probiotics. Your body helps create more of those too. And all of this, again, going back to supplementing a healthy diet, because if you're not eating healthy, these things aren't going to be that beneficial.
With regard to people that you're working with to figure out a supplement protocol for, if somebody's under a lot of stress, which most people are, right? So, they just have a lot of demands on them. They're probably not eating really well, or missing meals, or not getting the right amounts of sleep, et cetera. And all those lead to reactions in the body that are, counterproductive to health. What do you do, or what's your approach towards saying, okay, we're going to get this supplementation protocol in place for them?
Right. So I always want to look for the root cause. Why is the person stressed? What's going on? What's happening there? And so a lot of times what happens is nutritional deficiency. So are they deficient in certain nutrients? B vitamins are really important to help support somebody that's going through a lot of stress. Part of that has to do with the adrenals. Our adrenals will get taxed, will get overtaxed, and so then our body becomes deficient, needs extra B vitamins to help support during those times of stress. So those are some of the things that I think about. I mean, of course, we want to do stress management practices and get a good night's sleep. There's also some great research on CBD. CBD is a really popular supplement these days, and I do find that can be a good one to help with stress and helping people get that under control.
You're a skin specialist. You literally wrote the book on it. So what about with skin? Like, a lot of people think maybe it's wholly genetic, the inherited troubled skin, but I think you might see it a little bit differently. So somebody's got challenges with their skin, let it be, maybe it's acne for a teenager, maybe it's adult, that's having certain issues with their skin. What are some of the go-to supplements that you recommend for people in those realms?
Yeah, so again, going back to root causes and looking at what is going on there. And you mentioned genetics. So I do want to mention, yeah, a lot of times people think, oh, I got dealt a bad hand with genetics. But the good news is that we know from nutrigenomics now, the study of nutrition and genes and genetic expression, that when we can actually change the way that our genes express themselves by our lifestyle practices and also by taking supplements. It can actually change that. So we're not just stuck with our genes, which is really great news, right? So somebody that has a family history of rapid aging, and so maybe the other people in their family age really rapidly, there are actually things that we can do to help slow down that aging process. And things like antioxidants, because oxidative damage is one of those root causes that speeds up the aging process really rapidly. We see that on the skin. We also feel it in the body. People will notice that they feel like they're aging rapidly. They just feel it, they see it. And so there are certain supplements that we can take to help reverse that, to slow that down. So antioxidants are some of my favorites for aging, rapid aging skin.
Can I ask about antioxidants? When you say antioxidants, are there particular supplements that are the antioxidants? Like, what does that comprise of?
Right. So when we look at our diet, we want to get antioxidants and things like colorful fruits and vegetables, berries, greens, all of those kinds of fruits and vegetables that are very colorful. That's where we get them in nature in our food, and that's really important. But we can also supplement with those, right? So things like resveratrol, astaxanthin is a particularly good one for the skin, and so that helps actually provide external protection, like from the sun and the oxidative damage that occurs from exposure to the sun. Astaxanthin is one of my favorite ones for skin, and like I said, resveratrol. There's so many that those are a couple of them that I think could be particularly important for people to include in their multivitamin. They can also take a separate supplement that contains those.
Great. So anything else for the skin?
Another important supplement, I think, for aging is collagen. So collagen peptides, I think, can be a great addition to people's supplements. And none of us are getting younger, right? We're all getting older. So when we talk about anti-aging and what we can do, people always say to me, so when do I start with supplements for anti-aging? Well, really, maybe your 30s, 20s, whenever you want, whenever you feel like you want that extra support. And again, part of it's genetics too, so helping support the body and making sure that you're providing that support. But collagen peptides are great for the skin. They're also great for joints. They're great for our gut, great for hair and nails, and all we need those for a healthy collagen throughout the body. And collagen does start to break down as we age. So I do think that taking collagen peptide supplement is one of the things that can help support our bodies through the aging process.
I see like collagen protein powders. Would that be one way to get collagen?
Yeah, collagen, there are lots of supplements out there, powders and supplements that you can take. Vitamin C also helps with supporting the body's ability to make collagen. So I like adding in certain nutrients to help build collagen. So not just collagen peptides, but also other nutrients like vitamin C that support our collagen. And then you can also get collagen from our diet, from things like bone broth.
Pretty important that it's organic if you're supplementing with.
Oh, absolutely. The purity of collagen is important because it does come from an animal source. So make sure you're using a really great company, like I mentioned, Designs for Health or supplement companies like that. I mean, at the Spa Doctor, we make supplements too. So using one that comes from a really clean source is essential.
Yeah, it'd be kind of bad if you had a mistreated animal from a foreign country that they're taking collagen from and trying to put in your body. Probably not a good idea.
Yeah, just we want to be smart about it.
Yeah. Acne, a lot of people are struggling with that. Acne, adult acne, teenagers. What do you recommend for them?
Yeah, acne is something that so many people struggle with. It's the number one, the top skin condition in the United States. It's the 8th most prevalent disease worldwide.
Wow.
So a lot of people struggle with acne, not just teenagers, but people have it again throughout life. And And so there definitely are supplements or things that we can do to support the body to help relieve acne. And again, this goes back to the root causes. I know I sound like I'm repeating myself a lot here, but root causes are such an important part of this. So it can in part be from nutritional deficiencies. So sometimes there are things like people need extra zinc. That can be a really important nutrient for skin is zinc, and our bodies definitely need that. And I do find that people that have acne oftentimes need extra zinc. That's an example of a nutrient. But also blood sugar issues play a big role in acne. So doing things to help balance blood sugar. That go back to the diet. What are you eating? Cutting back on sugar, making sure you're eating a balanced diet. But also, there are supplements that can help balance blood sugar, because a lot of people that have acne, chronic acne especially, they have blood sugar imbalances. So what can we do with supplements to help with that? So things like chromium is a nutrient that helps with balancing blood sugar. Inflammation is another root cause associated with acne. So what can we do to reduce inflammation in the body? So essential fatty acids can be a beneficial part of that. Omega-3s, getting in the right balance of those, that can be important to help address these root causes that cause our skin, our magic mirror, that our largest organ, to show up.
Yeah, I see supplements in all forms. There's powders, there's liquids, there's capsules, there's tablets. Is there a preference as far as what form the supplement should be in?
Yeah, there are so many different types, and it depends on what we're talking about as far as what are we trying to do? What is the goal? Where is the person's state of health? I do think that powders and liquids are beneficial for some people that have trouble with digestion. If somebody is in a really depleted state, that can be the best place to start, because to break down a tablet or capsule requires a little bit more when it comes to digestion. So not everybody is able to break it down the same way. Now that also goes back to the quality of the supplement. They're not all created the same. So if you have a really high quality supplement, they actually should break down a lot easier. But there are a lot of tablets out there they're slow to break down, that sometimes they just kind of pass through. They don't even really, maybe they break down a little bit, but you're not getting anything from them. So if somebody has poor digestion, that's where I like people to start a lot of times, is a really high quality supplement, that it's made well, that they're going to be able to absorb it. Sometimes though, people can't even do that. So then getting IV nutrients could be a better way of starting to help support somebody. I think when we're talking about herbs, because we've been talking mostly about nutrients, and you could get a lot of those in capsules and tablets. When we talk about herbs, I think a lot of times those are good in tincture form. And those can be, you could add it to water or make a tea out of it. There are powders that can be made, and that can be a great way to get herbs. And when it comes to nutrients, they also can be in powder and liquid form. Again, the high quality supplements, though, I think we have to not only look at how people are going to be able to assimilate and absorb them, but are people actually going to be compliant? Are they going to take them? So that's one of the problems I see with the powders and the liquids, is that then sometimes people don't take them. So that's why capsules and tablets, they can be so much more convenient and easy to take for people. So as long as you have a high quality one and your digestion has gotten to a certain point, I think that's the best place to go.
So I walk into my Whole Foods market, and there's shelves and shelves and shelves of things lined up, all screaming at me to take them. What should I avoid, or what should I be looking for that might be something that would tell me don't do this one?
Yeah, I think being an educated consumer is important, and you should be able to walk in and be able to pick up supplements when you have an acute illness, like maybe you have a cold and you want to take some, a zinc lozenge, or you want to take an herbal tincture to help get rid of a cough. I think those are great things to be able to do. So one of the things is to just look at the label, and if you're looking for a specific nutrient or a specific herb, those are great, but does it have a bunch of other ingredients in there? Sometimes they'll add sugar, they'll add colors, they'll add binders. If there are other things in there and you don't even know what they are, ask somebody. Educate yourself a little bit on that. Don't just assume that because it has that one nutrient or that one herb in there, that it's gonna be okay. Look at the other ingredients in the label.
Well, a lot of great and very practical information, so I really appreciate you taking the time to sit and share that with us. It's amazing how this world can get very complicated, yet people really in today's world need this. So I think the work you're doing is terrific, and I appreciate you sharing your wisdom.
Thank you. And I think it's great for people to be able to be empowered with a certain amount of information that they can go to health food stores, they can go and they can get supplements to supplement a healthy lifestyle. And then when it gets to be overwhelming, when it gets to be confusing, don't try and do it all yourself, that there are experts that can help individualize and help address your unique health issues, right? So find a naturopathic physician or functional medicine doctor that can help do some testing and individualize and help you sort through all the information that's out there and come up with a customized plan. I really do think that that's a great way to go.
Well, terrific. Well, thanks for being an expert and sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Well, now you know about what to put on your skin and also what not to put on your skin. This is an important part of the entire understanding of supplementation and nutrition. If you're putting bad things on your skin while you're trying to put good things in your mouth, kind of defeats the purpose. Really excited to share this information with you, and thanks for tuning in.